Hey everyone, thank you all so much for tuning in. Today I wanted to discuss my biggest concern regarding Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And right off the bat, I just want to make it clear that this has nothing to do with anything that may have been experienced in a closed alpha test over the last weekend. I have no intention of breaking any NDAs that may or may not have been signed, and so today's topic comes directly from observations made based on the official trailers and gameplay released by Warner Brothers and Rocksteady for this game. And as marketing has picked up, I think there's a lot to get really excited about in regards to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Everything from multiple playable characters to multiplayer functionality to getting to explore Metropolis for the first time, and narratively getting to face off against the Justice League as boss battles feels very high stakes and climactic. With all that being said, I can totally understand why many are still apprehensive for this game. I myself am not completely sold on everything yet and have reservations about a lot of the components to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Everything from the live service element to the fact that every character uses gunplay as their primary form of combat. But so far, one thought has been nagging at me more than anything else, and it's this. Isn't this kind of soon for this story to be taking place in the Arkhamverse? Make no mistake, this game is set in the Arkham continuity. Rocksteady has confirmed that though this takes place many years after the events of the Arkham games, they do share a continuity. So to put it bluntly, we jumped from 4 really solid Batman games to a new game where you play as the Rogues Gallery of the DC Universe, and you're trying to kill and wipe out not only the Arkhamverse Batman, but also the Arkhamverse Justice League, where this is their first appearance. It sort of feels like what would have happened if the MCU had jumped from Iron Man 3 to Avengers Endgame, skipping Infinity War, Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Age of Ultron, all of those major beats in these characters' lives, and jumped to the big finish. Now conceptually, I actually have a lot of faith in the potential of this premise. Again, endgame level stakes, but where the heroes have actually become the antagonists, and so the regular antagonists have to become the protagonists trying to save the world. I think it's a great twist on a big superhero story. And having the boss battle feature Superman and the Flash and Batman feels like a really interesting move with a lot of potential for how those could play out. So my issue isn't the concept, it's the fact that we're getting this game before we've gotten a proper Superman game in this continuity, or a Flash game, or a Justice League game, or a World's Finest game. I think the stakes for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League could have felt even higher if we'd gotten to see the Justice League operating as a real team and gotten to see their real dynamics and gotten really endeared to them. Now the fact that they're brainwashed by Brainiac would hit a lot harder. Now I do think a fair counterpoint is that one of Rocksteady's greatest strengths is their environmental storytelling. Batman Arkham Asylum, City, and Night were all able to give us a lot of really rich insights into this interpretation of Batman's lore just from things that we could find in the environment. And certainly the same will be true of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I'm sure that there will be plenty of Easter eggs and lore for us to discover, but I feel like there's a lot of moments in this story that I would have liked to have actually seen play out in an animated movie or video game. I would have loved to have seen Batman mentoring the Flash in the Hall of Justice, or Superman meeting Diana for the first time in this universe. I would have loved a Justice League game where they fought against Lex Luthor, who was trying to prepare a way for Darkseid to come to Earth, or a World's Finest game where a side mission included Batman and Superman recruiting other members to join their league. I know a lot of people have expressed disinterest in a connected video game universe for DC characters, but I think it could have been really interesting, and I think for a game like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it would have had a much stronger payoff. I also don't think it would have been nearly as invasive as a lot of people think. I don't think a Superman game would have had to be super reliant on the events of Arkham City. They could have had a thug make like one reference to, hey, did you hear about that freak in Gotham, Hugo Strange? I'm glad I'm not in his prison. That's all you'd have to say and people would know it was connected. And then you could have these two games that feel very different tonally, and they could play very different from a gameplay perspective, but then when you get a game like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Batman isn't the only character that we're super familiar with because we would have been able to see other corners of this universe. I think it could have been interesting to see a version of Gotham Knights that was set in the Arkhamverse, where they were trying to figure out what Batman was doing and how he was operating, and if Bruce was actually dead. I think that it could have been cool for that to help set up this game. So ultimately my concern is that I feel like I've missed a lot in this continuity, and not only that, but I've missed a lot of the things that I really wanted to see and play through. I could see another counterpoint being that this will be more effective, it subverts more expectations, because we were all expecting Rocksteady to jump to Superman, or a Justice League game, or Wonder Woman, or something of that nature, and instead they're doing a game where you're playing as villains fighting the heroes. But again, my issue with this is that especially in video games, for whatever reason, this isn't the most fresh of ideas. I can think of about 3 games off the top of my head that have run in that direction. Injustice 1 and Injustice 2 are the most specific, but even LEGO DC supervillains had a variation of the Justice League that were evil that you had to fight. Even LEGO Batman 3 had Brainiac mind-controlling Justice League members and turning them into boss fights. It seems like every AAA DC game recently has tried to turn Superman into a villain. So when I see Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League portray Brainiac turning Superman evil and turning the Justice League evil where you're going to have to fight the heroes and it's going to subvert your expectations, does that feel interesting and compelling and high stakes? I actually think it does. I think it's a very worthy tale to have set within the Arkhamverse, but it's also not the most fresh. You know what I haven't seen recently in video games? A straight-up Superman game. I don't think the last AAA major free-roam Superman game has released since the Superman Returns tie-in game. I'm glad Wonder Woman is finally getting a game from Monolith, and I hope that other heroes like Superman and the Flash will follow suit. I think it could be really fun to get another Batman game as well. And I'm not saying that no developer should ever take risks. I'm all in on getting more games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League that show fresh perspectives of these characters and tell more Elseworld and obscure stories. But I also want to see these characters that I know and love operating in the way that I know and love. I've watched so many animated series, read so many comics, seen so many movies, animated and live action, that have portrayed these characters wonderfully. One of the highest consistent praises for the Batman Arkham series to begin with was the fact that it felt like an episode of Batman the Animated Series, or a really good Batman comic run. I would love to see Superman and the Flash get the same treatment, and again, I really hope that Monolith does a great job with Wonder Woman as well. If I have to fight these characters because they've been brainwashed by Brainiac, that's fine. I think that there's room for stories like that, but I want it to be earned unless it's just a straight Elseworld story like Injustice, and even those I can only take so much of. I think part of the issue is that we've all been waiting nearly 9 years since Batman Arkham Knight to get Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and in that time there have been so many rumors of a Superman game or a World's Finest game or any other number of games that it could be set within the DC continuity. And so the fact that instead of getting a game featuring one of those characters or multiple of those characters, we're getting a game where you have to hunt them down and allegedly kill them, if the title is to be believed. Now, maybe in a few months I'll eat my words. Maybe the game will come out and maybe some of the DLC will come out and it will have a really remarkable ending that sets up other games in the Arkhamverse featuring characters like Superman and the Flash. But until then, this game feels a little bit premature considering the only character that has been adequately explored is Batman. It's a really cool concept, but there was no build-up to it, and it's certainly not what I think anyone had as their first choice of what they hoped Rocksteady was working on. So while I am absolutely excited to see how the narrative for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is executed, and I am really compelled by the concept, I've gotta say that I've missed a lot in this universe that I would have liked to have experienced. It's a shame that the last decade has been such a drought for DC video games, because there are so many stories that could have been told and so many characters that could have been fleshed out leading up to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. But those are my thoughts. I am excited for the game. I am really interested in what the story has to offer. It just feels like there was more that could have been told between the events of Arkham Knight and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and I think leaving that area so barren in terms of releases and stories feels like a missed opportunity. There could have been room for a Justice League game, a solo Superman game, a solo Flash game, or Wonder Woman game. And who knows what the future holds or how the narrative of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will end, but those are my thoughts for now. I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. If you played the closed alpha last weekend and signed an NDA, please do not break it in the comments. I really don't want to have to delete your comment, but if you signed that NDA, you aren't even allowed to tell people whether or not you liked it, so please don't. Please also don't spread any leaks that may be floating around Reddit or Twitter or anywhere else. But please do feel free to let me know your overall thoughts on the game based on the trailers and officially released gameplay from Warner Bros. And Rocksteady. And please be sure to let me know which DC superhero you would like to see get a AAA game in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and we will see you guys in the next one.